Hey guys, welcome to our senior secondary mathematics series. This is the third video on the topic number systems. The subtopic is operations on real numbers. Let's get started. Hey guys, so again, if we refer to our topic map, we had started with types of numbers. Now we are moving to operations on real numbers. So here are the learning outcomes as usual. So at the end of this video, or the notes, that for those who have access to the notes, you should be able to apply board mass or bid mass. So we're going to learn something called board mass or bid mass. So you should be able to apply at the end of this video. You should be able to list factors of numbers and identify common factors and highest common factor. So given a number, you should be able to tell some of its factors. And if you have been given two numbers, you should be able to tell or to identify a common factor and the highest common factor. You don't have to understand this because you haven't learned anything. But at the end of the video, or as you are progressing through the video, through your notes, you should always refer to the learning outcomes. Tick whenever you feel like you have attained an outcome, like you have understood or you are able to do something. And lastly, you should be able to list multiples of numbers and identify some common multiples and lowest common multiple. So let's get started. Now that we have developed a basic understanding of the types of numbers from the previous videos, let's take a look at operations on real numbers. So why real numbers instead of other types of numbers? Like I emphasized in the previous videos, all the numbers we're going to be dealing with from grade 10 to grade 12 are real numbers. So integers, decimal numbers, rational numbers all belong to real numbers. So once we understand operations on real numbers, it means we understand operations on all other types of numbers. So let's get started. Plus, minus, multiplication, and division are called mathematical operators or arithmetic operators. So what is a mathematical operator? So a mathematical operator, it's a symbol that allows us to do an operation, a mathematical operation. A mathematical operation simply means combining one or more numbers to get one number as a result, just like the way we combine hot water and milk to get porridge. So that's what a mathematical operation is. I know we have been doing mathematical operations from grade 1 up to now. So we're going to take a look at some simple examples of mathematical operations. Then from there we'll go to complicated ones. The idea is to help you see how mathematical operations get complicated. So I can't just start with something complicated. I'll start with something simple, then we'll move to something complicated. So here are some examples of mathematical operations. By the way, the word evaluate, you're going to encounter it more than once. It means find value. So to evaluate something is to find a value of something. A value of something is a number. Value means number. Any number. It can be 10, it can be -2, it can be 4.6. Any number is a value. So if a question asks you to evaluate something, what they are trying to get from you is a number, a single number. You are going to understand this as we encounter different problems. So here we go. Evaluate. Number 1, 14 plus 2. Number 2, 20 minus 4. Number 3, 5 times 6. Number 4, 20 divided by 10. Number 5, 2 plus 1 plus 3. Number 6, 10 minus 2 times 2. So what they're asking is, all these numbers here, they can be 1 or 2, they can be 2 or 3, but they want them to be equal to a single number. They want us to get a value after we do an operation, a mathematical operation. So some of you, I know, just by looking, you know the answers. So let's the first one is straightforward, second one is straightforward, third one straightforward, fourth one straightforward. Then there's this one, the number 5. So I know this one is also straightforward, but I want to emphasize on one thing. Question 1 to question 4 involved only one mathematical operator. Question 1 had plus, question 2 had minus. What about question 5? It had 2 mathematical operators. So what do we do with this one? So I know it's just that 2 plus 1 plus 3, but I want to explain on something that's very important and it's going to make things easier for you as we look we look at certain complicated operations. I'll use this example and also this one, 10 minus 2 times 2. So let's take a look at how to deal with this. So how do we tackle this one? So there are two operators here, like I said before, this and this. So which one are we going to start with? Should we start with this one or we start with this one? So let's try to start with this one and we see the answer that we're going to get. Then again, we're going to try the same question, but starting with this one. So to start with this operator, we add this and this so that this operator works. The answer that we're going to get, we add it to this so that this other operator works. So when we add 2 and 1, we get 3. And that 3 is going to be added to this 3, like so. So 2 plus 1, 3. Then this 3 is added to the other 3, and we get 6. So what about if we had started with this operator? What are we going to get? So if we start with this operator, it means 1 plus 3, 4. Then this 4 is added to 2 to get 6. So like this. So 4 plus 2, 6. So we can see that the answers are the same. So one thing we can learn is if the operators or the signs are the same, then it doesn't matter which one we start with. I don't like to use the word sign. Let me use operator. So if the operators are the same, then it doesn't matter which one to start with. If there was minus here and minus, it doesn't matter which one you start with. If there was multiplication here and there was multiplication here, it doesn't matter. If there was division and there was division, it doesn't matter. That's one thing we can learn. So let's look at another example. So how do we tackle this one? 10 minus 2 times 2. So there are two different mathematical operators here, the minus and the multiplication. So just like in the previous example, I'll start with the one on the left-hand side. And note, unlike in the previous example, I'll be going down. In the previous example, I was moving like this. I could say 10 minus 2 times 2 equals, then I get the answer, I write here just like that, but I'll be going like this. And that's the reason why I've changed, just that you find it easy to understand when going down, because these are complicated. So 10 minus 2 times 2, I can write down there 10 minus 2, it's 8 times 2 times 2, I've just brought it down. 8 times 2, it's 16. And we can conclude that 10 minus 2 times 2 is equal to 16. What if we had started with multiplication? What would be the answer? So if we do that, 2 times 2, we're going to get 4. So write 10 down minus 4, like this. Then 10 minus 4, it's 6. And we can conclude that 10 minus 2 times 2 is equal to 6. So these are different answers. And when you punch on a calculator, you're going to get one answer, which is either of these. But how can we tell which one is which? So if the arithmetic or mathematical operators are different, there are rules that are supposed to be followed. But if they are the same, then it doesn't matter which one you start with. So if we had multiplication here and here the way it is, then it couldn't have mattered which one we started with. Now that there are different operators, there's minus and multiplication, there are rules that are supposed to be followed. So let's learn those rules. So the rules are summarized by board mass or bead mass. So board mass or bead mass are one and the same thing. The only difference is they all has been replaced by the I, and they both mean the same thing. So board mass or bead mass stands for brackets, order indices, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So whenever you have been given multiple operators, you have to follow this order. So you have to start with brackets, then you go to order indices, then you go to these to division or multiplication, and then to addition or subtraction. One thing that should be noted is division and multiplication, they don't really follow board mass. It depends on which one is on the left-hand side. So when you've been given a problem that has both division or multiplication, you're supposed to choose which one to start first. You have to start with the one on the left-hand side. The same applies for addition and subtraction. But so in short, you can see division and multiplication to be to be one thing, it only depends on which one is on the left, the same as addition and subtraction. But of course, if we have got division or multiplication and addition or subtraction, you have to choose these first before these. So that's how it goes. So in summary, I can say start with the one on the left when to choose between addition and subtraction or multiplication and division. So start with the one on the left when to choose between addition and subtraction or multiplication and division. So let's take a look at some examples for us to really understand. So our example says evaluate question number 1, 2 plus 3 minus 5. Question number 2, 8 minus 4 plus 1. So start with question 1. So how do we evaluate 2 plus 3 minus 5? So how many operators are here? We have got 2 operators, addition and subtraction. So if we look or we use our board mass, we know addition and subtraction are here, addition and subtraction. So of course, you can be tempted to start with addition, then subtraction. But like I said, these two, just like these two, it depends on which one is on the left-hand side. So start with the one on the left-hand side first. So here, addition is on the left-hand side as compared to subtraction. So we'll start with addition. 2 plus 3 is going to give us 5 minus 5. 5 minus 5, it's 0. So it's done. We can conclude that 2 plus 3 minus 5 is equal to 0. Let's take a look at example 2. So this one says evaluate 8 minus 4 plus 1. Again, here we have subtraction and addition. And if we look at our board mass here, we see that these two, addition and subtraction, it depends on those, on which one is on the left-hand side, the leftmost operator, which is, in this case, subtraction. So we'll start with subtraction. So 8 minus 4 to give us 4 plus 1. 4 plus 1, 5. So we can conclude that 8 minus 4 plus 1 is 5. So let's take a look at another example. So these two examples involve multiplication and division. So let's start with example number 1. So example number 1 says evaluate 2 times 5 divided by 5. So which one are we going to start with? Times or division? So if we refer to board mass, division, multiplication. So just like addition and subtraction, division and multiplication, when you are required to choose between the two, it only depends with which one is on the left. So here you can see this one is on the left hand side. So we'll start with this one. So 2 times 5 is 10. So it's going to be 10 divided by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. And we can conclude that 2 times 5 divided by 5 is equal to 2. Let's go to example number 2. So example number 2 says evaluate 8 divided by 4 times 1. So again here, we start with the one on the left hand side. Since division and multiplication, the only thing that you have to look at when it is required to choose between them is which one is on the left hand side. In this case, it's division. So 8 divided by 4 is 2 times 1. Then 2 times 1 is 2. And we can conclude that 8 divided by 4 times 1 is equal to 2. So that's how division and multiplication works. So let's try to combine more operators as in these two examples. So in example 1, we have addition, multiplication, and subtraction. In example 2, we have subtraction, division, multiplication, and subtraction. How do we choose which one to start with? So let's start with example 1. So 2 plus 3 times 5 minus 2. So which one should go first? Is it addition? Is it multiplication? Is it subtraction? If there was no multiplication and there was only addition and subtraction, could have started with the leftmost symbol, but I mean operator. But in this case, we have multiplication, so we have to refer to board mass. So which one starts first between addition, multiplication, and subtraction with board mass? So if you follow board mass, M, it's here, which is multiplication. So we have to start with multiplication before we can come to addition. and subtraction. So we have to multiply these two, then we'll see what to do next. So let's do that. So 3 times 5 are going to get 15. So these 2 and this -2 minus 2 is going to be copied, and we're going to have 2 plus 15 minus 2. So I've just copied this one, I've brought it down, and this one I've brought it down. So 2 plus 15 minus 2. From here we have plus and minus. Which one goes first between plus and minus? Like I said earlier, addition and subtraction, it depends on the one which is on the left hand side, which is addition. So we're going to add 2 plus 15, we're going to get 17 minus 2. 17 minus 2 is 15. Therefore, we can conclude that 2 plus 3 times 15 minus 2 is equal to 15. So I mean 2 plus 3 times 5 minus 2 is equal to 15. Let's take a look at example number 2. So example number 2 says 8 minus 4 divided by 4 times 1 minus 3. Again here, which one goes first? So there's subtraction, division, multiplication, division. So if we look at board mass, division and multiplication have to go first before subtraction. So this or this. But which one do we choose between division and multiplication? So it goes back to the one that's on the left hand side when it comes to these two. So we'll start with division. So we'll divide this and this. The rest we're going just to copy them down. So we're going to have 8 minus 1 times 1 minus 3. This one is 4 divided by 4, it's 1. So 8, it's this. This one, 4 divided by 4, it's 1 times 1 minus 3. We just write it down. So now we have subtraction, multiplication, and subtraction. Which one goes first? Multiplication. According to board mass, multiplication goes first before subtraction. So we're going to multiply. So 1 times 1 is going to be 1. So we're going to have 8 minus 1 minus 3. So this has resulted into this. So we have 8 minus 1 minus 3. So what about subtraction? Subtraction, which one goes first? It doesn't matter. Like I illustrated earlier, when the signs are the same, it doesn't matter which one you start with. But I'm used to starting with the one on the left. So I'm going to, or I can just do it in my head. 8 minus 1, 7. 7 minus 3, 4. It depends on which one you prefer. So if I do it in my head, 8 minus 1 is 7 minus 3 is 4. And we therefore can conclude that 8 minus 4 times 4 times, so 8 minus 4 divided by 4 times 1 minus 3 is 4. We have looked at division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. We haven't looked at these two, so we're going to take a look at them in the next examples. So we have this problem, 2 power 3 plus 3 times 5. So this is read as 2 power 3. It's a big number here and a small number on top of it. It's read as power. So 2 power 3. So 2 power 3 plus 3 times 5. So this expression here, where there is a number and a small number on top of it, is what is called an index, or indices, or order. So order and indices, just the same word. So this is called an index or order. So according to board mass, which one should we deal with first? Should we start with order or addition or multiplication? So if we look at board mass, we start with order before we move to multiplication and addition. So let's start with order. So 2 power 3, what it means is you multiply this big number 3 times by itself. So 2 power 3 is basically 2 times 2 times 2. If it was 2 power 5, it would have been 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. If it was 2 power 2, then it's 2 times 2. So it just means multiply this number 3 times or 4 times or 5 times by itself. So 2 power 3 will just be 2 times 2 times 2, then 3 times 5 plus 3 times 5. We just write it here. So we have 2 times 2 times 2 plus 3 times 5. So we have to find what's next. If we look at this, we've got multiplication, addition, multiplication. So we can start with, first we deal with these things which we have just introduced, the multiplication. So 2 times 2 times 2, it's 8. 2 times 2, it's 4. Times 2, it's 8. So it's going to be 8 plus 3 times 5. 8 plus 3 times 5. The next is addition and multiplication. Which one do we go with first? Again, multiplication. So we have to multiply this first. So 3 times 5 is 15. That's going to be 8 plus 15. 8 plus 15 is going to be equal to 23, and we can conclude that 2 power 3 plus 3 times 5 is equal to 23. So we have 2 power 3 plus 3 times 5 minus open bracket 7 minus 2 close bracket. So the main difference between this question and the previous question is we have got brackets here. So how do we deal with this? So I've got order, addition, multiplication, subtraction, and brackets. So according to board mass, the B stands for brackets. So we start with brackets. So to deal with brackets, what it basically means is you go in the brackets, you make sure that you solve everything inside the brackets till you have a single number. Sorry for that. Till you have a single number. So once you have a single number, then you have dealt with brackets. So when you go inside the brackets again, in a case where there are multiple operators, in this case we won't have minus, but what if we had minus, times, divide, and the likes? So when you go inside the brackets, you restart board mass. You ask yourself which one starts first inside the brackets. So if there was minus and times, of course times starts first on board mass. Multiplication starts first as compared to subtraction. So you have to solve to start with multiplication. You deal with multiplication, that's when you can come to subtraction. So in this case, we have a single operator, so we can just solve this one. You can evaluate this one. So 7 minus 2 is 5. So we can write this as 2 power 3 plus 3 times 5 minus 5. Now that we've got a single number inside the brackets, we can forget about the brackets. So in the next step, we can even we can remove the brackets or omit the brackets. So what's next? We have order here, we have addition, we have multiplication, we have subtraction. So on board mass here, we'll start with order since the bracket has been dealt with. So we'll go with order. So order 2 power 3, it means 2 times 2 times 2. So we'll have 2 times 2 times 2 plus 3 times 5 minus 5. Remember, all this has just been brought down to this here, 3 times 5 minus 5. The brackets, I've removed them. So 2 times 2 times 2, it's 8. 2 times 2, it's 4. Times 2, it's 8. So we're going to have 8 plus 3 times 5 minus 5. 8 plus 3 times 5 minus 5. So what's next? We have addition, multiplication, subtraction. On board mass, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Multiplication starts first. So we'll have to evaluate these two. So 3 times 5 is going to be 15. So we're going to have 8 plus 15 minus 5. What comes next? Addition, subtraction. So if we look here, addition and subtraction, remember I said for addition and subtraction, the one that's on the left, not the one that's on the left here, but the one that is on the left here should start first. If subtraction was here and addition was here, then subtraction could have started first. The same applies for division and multiplication. The way they have been written, the one that's on the left should be considered first. So 8 plus 15 minus 15. So start with this. 8 plus 15 is going to be equal to 23 minus 5. And 23 minus 5 is going to give us 18 as our answer. And we can write this as 2 power 3 plus 3 times 5 minus 7 minus 2 equals 18. So that's how to deal with problems that involve brackets. So let's take a look at this example, which involves all operators that are on board mass. It says 2 power 3 plus 3 times 5 minus open bracket 7 minus 2 times 3 close bracket. So if you feel like you have acquired a skill or two, you can try to solve this on your own. Try to pause this video, you solve, then you come and check the answer. But anyway, here is the answer. So what we're going to start, where we're going to start from, we've got order, we've got plus, addition, we've got multiplication, we've got subtraction, we've got brackets, we've got subtraction, we've got multiplication. So according to board mass, it says we start with the brackets. So we've got these brackets, but when we go inside the brackets, again, we've got another problem, which is we've got different operators here. We've got a subtraction and multiplication. So what I'm going to do, so when you go inside the brackets, you will refer to board mass again if you've got more than one operators. So if we go to board mass, which one starts first between subtraction and multiplication? Definitely it's multiplication. So we'll start with multiplication. So 2 times 3, we're going to get 6. So we're going to rewrite everything, but here, these two are going to be replaced with 6. Since 2 times 3 is going to give us 6. So we'll have 2 power 3 plus 3 times 5 minus open bracket 7 minus 6 close bracket. Then from here, what's next? We're still inside the brackets, because for us to start dealing with these other things, we have to start with what's inside the brackets till we have a single number inside the brackets. So here we go to this 7 minus 6, we're going to get 1. So we can write everything 2 power 3 plus 3 times 5 minus 1. Now that we've got a single digit, we can even forget about the brackets. So from here, where do we go? We go to order. So order 2 power 3, which have already illustrated. It's 2 power 3 is 2 times 2 times 2, which is this, plus 3 times 5 minus 1. So 2 times 2 times 2, we're going to get 8. So we're going to have 8 plus 3 times 5 minus 1. What's next? Is it addition? Is it multiplication? Is it subtraction? Definitely it's multiplication. So 3 times 5 is going to give us 15. So we're going to have 8 plus 15 minus 1. What's next? Addition or subtraction? So these two, it depends on which one is on the left hand side. So 8 plus 15 is going to be 23 minus 1. And 23 minus 1 is going to give us 22. So we can safely say our answer to 2 power 3 plus 3 times 5 minus 7 minus 2 times 3 cross bracket is just 22. Yeah, sorry, forgive me on underlining here. I wasn't supposed to underline. Anyway, so in other cases we have got, let's say we had other numbers here which were inside the brackets. So again, if they are, you can start with the numbers that are inside the brackets here. Then you can go to the numbers that are inside the brackets here. It really doesn't matter, but always start with things in the brackets. If they are let's say if there are 3 different groups of numbers inside brackets, maybe 3 sets of brackets. In the first set there are numbers, plus in the second set there are numbers, and in the other set there are numbers. You have to deal with the content of the brackets. You can start with 1. If you find the answer, go to the other one. You find the answer, go to the other one. Find the you get the answer. If you prefer, you can always start with what's on the left, you go to the right. But that's all about board. So we're going to take a look at what are called factors and multiples. So numbers have got properties called factors and multiples. Actually, in good English, it can be said a number's got another number which is called a factor, and also another number which is called a multiple of that number. So let me give clear definitions. So a factor of a number is a number that goes into another number without a remainder. So to go into another number, what I mean is, if you have a number, then you divide it by the second number, then there shouldn't be a remainder. Examples are these. Factors of 2 are 1 and 2. Why? Because 1 goes into 2 without a remainder, and 2 goes into 2 without a remainder. If you say 2 divided by 1, you get 2, remainder 0. 2 divided by 2, you get 1, remainder 0. So this means that 1 and 2 goes into 2 without a remainder. So 1 and 2 are factors of 2. What about 4? What are the factors of 4? It's 1, 2, and 4. What about 15? We have 1, 3, 5, and 15. So all these numbers go into 15 without a remainder. 1 goes into 15 without a remainder. 3 goes into 15 without a remainder. 5 goes into 15 without a remainder. And 15 goes into 15 without a remainder. So the factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5, and 15. So among these, there is a number that is called a common factor. So a common factor is just a factor that is present here, here, and here. There can be more than one. So let's define what a common factor is. So a common factor represented as CF of 2 numbers is a number that happens to be the factor of both numbers. Simple as that. let's take a look at examples. So the factors of 4 are 1, 2, and 4, like we showed, and the factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5, and 15. So what are the common factors? We can only see that the number that is common to this set and this set is 1. 1 is here and 1 is here. So 1 is the common factor. Let's try two other sets of numbers. What about 9? 9 common factors of 9 are 1, 3, and 9. And also 15. Common factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5, and 15. Factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5, and 15. So what are the common factors? So you can see that 1 is both here, 3 is also both here. 5, 15, 9 are not common. So the common factors are 1 and 3. So that's all about factors and common factors. By the way, if there are multiple factors, if the number of common factors are more than 1, this smallest is called lowest common factor. Then the other one is called highest common factor. So the short for lowest common factor is LCF, and the short for highest common factor is HCF. So it's very important to know this. They might not seem to be important, but at some point when you'll be acquiring new skills in fractions, especially, if it's not fractions, it might be another topic. You might need these skills. So it's just important knowledge to know, because it will help you understand the other topics. Like I said, number system is the foundation of all mathematics. Okay, let's continue. So actually, before we can go to the other part, which involves multiples, let's do this a simple example. So given the numbers 22 and 14, question 1, question A, list all the factors of 22 and 14. B, what is the lowest common factor and the highest common factor of the two numbers? So the solution. So we're talking about 22 and 14. So we'll start with factors of 22, which are 1, 2, 11, 22, because these are the numbers that go into 22 without a remainder. Yeah, so 1 goes into 22 without a remainder, 2 goes into 22 without a remainder, 11 goes into 22, and 22 goes into 22 without remainders. What about 14? So factors of 14 are 1, 2, 7, and 14. These are the only numbers that go into 14 without a remainder. So we have listed all the factors of 22 and 14. But B says, what is the lowest common factor and what is the highest common factor? So lowest common factor, you can see is 1, and highest common factor is 2, because the common factors are 1 and 2. The lowest of this is 1 and the highest is 2. So we're going to finalize this subtopic with multiples. So what's a multiple? A multiple of a number is a number that you get when the original number is multiplied by an integer. Examples are, for example, 2. What are multiples of 2? So we can multiply 2 with any integer. Let's start from 1 going up. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Remember, integers are whole numbers, positive and negative whole numbers including 0. But let's concentrate on positive whole numbers, starting from 1 going up. So 2 times 1, 2. So 2 is a multiple of 2. Then the other number that comes after 1 is 2. 2 times 2, we get 4. So 4, it's a multiple of 2. The next number is 3. So 2 times 3, it's 6. The next 6, which means 6 is a multiple of 2. So the multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. I think you get the idea. The same applies for 4. We have got 4, 8, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, just like that. What about 15? We have 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, just like that. So on multiples, there's what we call a common multiple, which is represented by CM. So a common multiple of two numbers is a number that happens to be a multiple of both numbers. So just like common factors, they are also what are called common multiples. So let's take a look at these examples. So for 10, the multiples of 10 are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, just like that. What about 15? For 15, we have 15, 30, 45, 60, just like that. So what are common multiples? So common multiples of these are multiples that are present on the multiples of 10 and on the multiples of 15. In this case, we have 30, and 60. So common multiples are 30 and 60. Then of these, there are many. That's why I've added the dots, meaning that there are many that we can't include in here. So for the only ones that we have managed to list are 30 and 60. Then of these, the lowest, which is 30, is called lowest common multiple, LCM, lowest common multiple. For multiples, we don't have the highest common multiples because they go forever, so it's difficult to know what the highest common multiple is. So this marks the end of this part of number systems, which is operations on real numbers. Check out for the second insect, which is the third subtopic for this topic. Happy solving.